Alright my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I wanted to talk to you guys this morning about what it's really like to go from consoles to a PC, and we'll be talking about the different levels of PC gaming and what that's kind of like. So if you're on a console right now, like your PS5 or your Xbox Series X, you've probably found yourself in a situation where you're like, oh man, this game is, you know, like 864p, it doesn't look that great being upscaled to 4K, I'm stuck at 30 frames per second, or I've got a really shaky 60 frames per second, it just kind of feels broken up, it's not always smooth all the time, you know, you've got like the different types of, you know, performance settings versus quality settings, stuff like that. So you're usually finding yourself at a point where you're like, oh my gosh, most of the time you're probably feeling like you generally have to settle. You can't necessarily have both at the same time, and that really, you know, it's got you probably thinking like, oh my gosh, man, what is PC? Where do I get into PC? How can I, you know, how can I spend my money? How can I get a productive experience for the money that I'm about to spend on the PC platform? So when you first move over to PC, if you're coming from consoles into a 60 series class of card for NVIDIA, or your 70 or your 600, well, we'll say 600 because it's like 76 or 86 or, you know, 6600. If you're coming into that entry level GPU for, you know, for PC gaming, this is kind of what it's like. You will come in. So when I first came into PC gaming, I came in at a 3060 Ti, so 60 series class card, and that right there was more powerful than the next gen consoles. Just, you know, I mean, the next gen consoles were 10 teraflop, 12 teraflop. The 3060 Ti was like 16, 17 teraflop. So it was pretty good. Obviously, you know, some of those constraints of like VRAM, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, when you first come into PC gaming, the first thing that you're gonna notice is there's all of the stuff that you were like, oh my gosh, I have to choose, is pretty much gone. Even at a 60 series class card, my friends. So I would come in, you know, I came into that, you know, a 3060 Ti, and I was able to run all of my games over 60 frames per second and utilize features like DLSS to let me play at 4K. And this is probably my biggest mistake. I should have never tried to utilize essentially a 1080p high refresh card for 4K. This was probably my biggest mistake, and probably the biggest mistake that a lot of people, a lot of console gamers will make, transitioning over to PC gaming at that level of GPU. So I was using that card. I was trying to run 4K. I was using DLSS. I mean, it worked, but you start to notice, you know, like some inconsistency, obviously, because your card's just not designed to run every game at 4K. Now, it will do very good on a majority of games. Like something like Call of Duty, yeah, you're gonna be able to run that on a 3060 Ti at like 4K resolution with pretty dang good like frame rate too. And you're like, wow, this is crazy. So immediately on that level of GPU, like your 60 series or your 6600 series GPUs, you're going to be able to get in there and already have a better experience than you are on the next gen consoles. Like you will have a better experience. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to have just overall more power. Usually, generally, depending on where you're at in the PC space. If you come in at a, you know, your 70 series or your, you know, 77 or 7800 or 700 or 800 series for AMD, that's where you're gonna that's where it's gonna absolutely blow your mind. No longer are you really necessarily having to use like upscalers at all to try to push to 4K and stuff. You still are, I mean, for the most part. Like some games you'll be able to easily do native 4K at 60 plus. Some games you're absolutely going to have to use upscaling to get to 60 just because of how heavy they are to run. But now your options are a lot wider. Now you're talking, you know, you're going to be able to use an ultra wide monitor. You're going to be able to use you're gonna be able to use a lot more features like ray tracing at this class. You're gonna be able to utilize the better features of the card sets that are actually gonna, you know, transform the experience even more. And when you first come, I would say honestly that beginning series is a little bit closer to console expectations, but you get higher frame rate. Whereas 7800 XT, 4070 Super, this is where things start to kind of separate and things start to get a little bit more like, ooh man, PC gaming is really good. It's impressive at entry level. Mid-range is where it starts to get like, oh my gosh, this is good. And like I said, you get to use more of those features like ray tracing. You get to use more of the features like your upscaling quality. You get to select higher levels instead of using like balanced your quality. So you're getting overall more quality depending on the card that you come in with. You know, the allotment of VRAM is going to dictate just how nice your settings can look. You know, at the entry level, you're probably going to be around medium settings, you know, and you're going to get really good overall image quality. And then, you know, as you go higher in the stack, in the mid-range stack, because both stacks are going to have kind of their very basic entry level cards, then your better ones, you know, obviously your 3060 versus your 3060 Ti. It's gonna, you know, there's gonna be different options usually throughout these are 3060 12 gig, you know, at least in the 30 series. You know, 40 series is a little bit different. You got your 4060, you got your 4060 Ti, and then you got your 4060 Ti 16 gig, whereas you got your 7600 and then your 7600 XT, which has 16 gigs versus 8 gigs of VRAM. Each card class is going to have their little steps. On the mid-range side for AMD, you've got 7700 XT 12 gig, 7800 XT 16 gig, 7900 GRE, which is also 16 gig. And then on the NVIDIA side, you've got your 4070, you've got your 4070 Super, you've got your 4070 with the new VRAM, then you got your 4070 with regular VRAM, 4070 Super. And then you get your 4070 Ti, 4070 Ti Super, 4070 Ti Super, and then you see it just, which is 16 gigs versus 12 gigs. It's crazy. Like, PC gaming is crazy. You just got to do your homework, honestly, to figure out where you're gonna be and what you're exactly wanting. Because I know that a lot of us PC gamers out here using like clickbait stuff like VRAM and all this stuff to kind of get, you know, people to watch our videos and stuff. But the truth is if you, depending on the games you play, if you play a lot of esports stuff like that, you can literally buy pretty much what you want, because those games are literally designed to run well no matter what. If you're playing a lot of first-person games, this is my recommendation, man. If you're buying esports, get the best bang for your buck so that you literally, because any card's going to run those games very, very well. If you are playing single-player, story-driven, heavy AAA banger games, you're going to need like more power. You're going to want more power. Like, you're going to want something good. You know what I mean? Like, or at least, you know, if you're a 1080p, get the best 1080p card you can get, maybe even a 1440p card so that it can just push. I would usually recommend something, you know, just a little bit, I mean, a lot higher than what your screen, not a lot higher, but at least high enough to where that screen resolution is easily going to be met and you're going to get a good frame rate no matter what. So it is pretty good. But what is PC gaming on the high end like? Now, to be completely honest with you, the high end is just a really like all the bells and whistles. When it comes to these GPUs, it's going to have the most power, the most VRAM, the most everything. Like it's high end. Like, you're paying a pretty good amount of money for that high end GPU, and there's still going to be limitations, because now you are effectively putting yourself into the 4K market, where it's still not exactly like easily attainable. There's still a lot of, you know, oh gosh, man, this game could or couldn't. you're in no man's land. You're like in the unknown. Like you do not know. Like you are literally casting a bet, hoping that like you're throwing your line out and just hoping for the best. That's what I call high-end gaming. High-end PC gaming is a lot of freaking trying to be where it's tough. It is tough, my friends. Like you are not going to always come out on top when you start going for high-end. There's going to be games that are really going to take your performance, and you're going to be sad. You're going to be destroyed over that. Unless you're you know, if you're going for the 1440p resolution, then you're probably going to be fine. Like the high-end experience on a 1440p ultra-wide monitor, absolutely incredible. It gets the job done, and it is absolutely freaking beautiful. So it's like, wow. But yeah, man, high-end gaming is or PC gaming is pretty interesting, man. It's quite expensive. So all right, my friends, I got to get to work. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you like this video, we will carry this conversation on even more. Thank you for watching.